Hollywood is an unpredictable, tumultuous, ever-changing landscape.
No!
A rare few have endured.
You'll become one of the thousands of vanquished foes of the metal.
Artists who never compromised, who stayed true to themselves without needing to fit the mold.
Okay, you come back
To get my money back.
And one of the loudest, wildest, and most beloved examples of that rare consistency is none other than Jack Black. For decades, Black has made a name for himself as the go-to funny man for any and all movies.
When we're in the studio, in the recording booth, I let my freak flag fly, and some crazy stuff comes out of my mouth, no doubt. That will never be heard, though.
An unhinged ball of energy, a rock and roll hero, a master of comedic chaos. Audiences love him, studios rely on him, kids grow up quoting him. And yet, not all is what it seems. Behind the big laugh and bigger performances lies something far more complex. A deeply self-conscious man, wrestling with his identity. Do people love Jack Black, the loyal family man with a troubled past? Or are they in love with the character, the chaotic clown he's perfected over the years?
I like unsweetened iced tea in large amounts. If there's ever a time when I don't have an iced tea in my fridge, heads will roll.
To find out, we need to rewind. We need to peel back the layers, track his rise, and uncover the truth behind the madness. What really makes Jack Black tick? And what makes him such a tenacious dude?
Let's do this.
Was in the 70s, I'm an old man, called Murder by Death. And it featured the incredible Peter Sellers amongst all the great comedians of that time.
Before he was a panda, a video game icon, or the internet's crazy uncle, Jack Black was, well, still crazy. But in the early 90s, his voice was yet to boom across red carpets or movie theaters. It echoed in dive bars, cramped clubs, and the strange corners of LA's comedy scene. And the name behind this rock and roll ruckus was a certain pair of rebels with a name that would gain instant iconic status. Tenacious D began as a joke, literally. A parody rock band made up of Jack Black and his longtime friend Kyle Gass. Two guys with acoustic guitars, oversized egos, and absolutely zero chill. The pair first met in 1986 Los Angeles at the Actors Gang Theater Troupe, wherein Gass was the main musician and Black was a wannabe actor. They would often travel around with the troupe and bonded over their shared love of music, especially rock.
We've played some interesting venues, but yeah, we've never played a convention center.
And you know what? The coolest people I've ever seen.
They went crazy.
The biggest collection, yeah.
There was, I mean, I don't know how many people were in there, but we all saw your ass.
Did you show your ass?
Your ass show was show.
Well, here's the thing. Kevin Smith gave a nice intro and said we were one of 9 that he would want to. But he said we were one of 9 as like a great tribute to how he liked us. And so I just sort of jokingly said, "Ah," but just quick. You didn't see it. It was good.
Well, we got a little show. We got a little treat.
Yeah.
Gass even taught Black how to play guitar for food. Through their travels and performances, they realized that they both had something real. Raw talent and the desperate need to be seen. And thus, Tenacious D was born.
Oh, this is my saxoboom. It's just an instrument. I play guitar usually, but sometimes I'll bust this out.
You want to knock out a couple notes? Or?
I don't really, no.
You can do it. You can do it.
No, I'll give you a little taste.
Yeah. He's virtuoso.
Unbelievable.
I don't want to,
Thank you.
You gotta
overplay it,
incorporate
but-
that.
Yeah.
So
we should throw that in the act.
Black and Gas were guys who had to scream a little louder just to be heard, and Tenacious D was a safe space for that. They could be stupid, they could suck, but they could bring the roof down with awesomeness and laughter.
Can't.
You can't.
It's not that you won't.
No, don't try.
No, you can try.
You can try.
But you will be vanquished.
I was always sort of a clown. I loved the attention, and nothing satisfied like getting laughs from other kids. I remember first wanting to be funny. I remember the desire to make people laugh before making people laugh. And that's what it takes. It takes a deep hunger for laughs, like laughs are the most delicious meal that your soul can find.
What started as improv sketches morphed into cult fame. For Black, it was a way to channel his chaos and charisma into something that felt like his, even if people didn't fully get the joke yet.
It's our quest to become the greatest band on earth.
Jack's energy was polarizing. For every cheer, there was a critic calling him too much, too weird, or just that guy who yells a lot. And that got to him. Then one day, Black was listening to One by Metallica on the radio and told Gas that it was the best song in the world. Gas then told his hard-rocking amigo that they could not write the best song in the world, but that they could write a tribute, and it has become a real power ballad in recent years. However, despite making it big in Australia and New Zealand, appearing at number 4 on the Australian singles chart and number 9 on the New Zealand one, the song failed to make a real splash in the States. People just weren't ready for it yet.
You'll become one of the thousands of vanquished foes of the metal.
Oh man, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And they sing well together. That's what I say about the Vanquish folks.
There may be millions.
We got the Vanquish folks of the metal.
Even with the D, Jack fought the tension between comedy and credibility. Tenacious D gave Jack the power to be loud, but it couldn't silence the doubts echoing underneath. Was he a musician? A future star? Or just another Hollywood oddball destined to be a footnote? And yet, the more he leaned into the absurd, the more people started listening. But this wasn't the peak. It was a warm-up act. The world was about to discover that Jack Black's bravado extends far beyond the music scene.
Well, I guess it's always been a gradual ramp to the top. We vowed to stop at nothing in our journey, and well, here we are at Grauman's Chinese Theater.
I would say there is no real difference between what we're doing now and what we did in the beginning, the humble beginnings of the D. And I guess that's what's kept us so kick-ass, is that we've stayed true to the D. Although I will say, one major difference is there's probably a lot more liquid poos of nervousness. Brendan Cage, right before we came to the red carpet, you had to make a quick run.
I had to make a run.
I'm sorry to out you.
Even though we are kings, we are still humans.
A lot of pressure on the red carpet.
The 2000s hit like a power chord for Jack Black. Amongst the years of traveling the road, bar gigs, and being that guy from Tenacious D, Black was also an actor who gave his all in every single role, with high hopes and even higher dreams.
I was into acting from the very beginning. My first job was a commercial. I did a commercial for Activision, a video game company, back in the day, called Pitfall. And I remember it like it was yesterday. It was me, I had a safari hat on, and I said,
Just last night, I was lost in the jungle with Pitfall Harry, surrounded by giant scorpions and man-eating crocodiles.
Through sheer perseverance, seemingly overnight, he went from cult favorite to Hollywood headliner. It started with scene-stealing parts. Small roles where he barely had a minute of screen time, but somehow left a dent. His first big break in this regard was 2000's High Fidelity. In High Fidelity, he didn't just play a record store clerk, he hijacked the movie. Loud, irrelevant, wildly unpredictable, audiences hadn't seen anything quite like him. Studios took note, and suddenly, Jack Black was bankable. And you can tell Black's musical passion and history with Tenacious D flowing through his performance. But by far his biggest success story at the time was the one and only School of Rock.
Good. Okay, no, that's bad. That's like George of the Jungle. Played up here on the cymbal, but really light. Oh, that's it. Okay, keep going with that, Zach. Do you remember this thing I taught you a minute ago? It goes like... Yes! Yes! Oh! All right!
Black played a wannabe rock star turned substitute teacher named Dewey Finn, who has a rebellious spirit but a heart of gold and a passion not just for rock, but for teaching children and bringing out their hidden talent. School of Rock changed everything. It was the lightning in a bottle. Part heart, part chaos, and pure Jack. He wasn't just playing a character, he was the character. Dewey Finn was a loser, a dreamer, a goofball with something to prove. Sound familiar? Critics called it a career-defining performance. Kids wanted to be in his class. Parents wanted to hug him. It showed the world the raw talent and energy that Jack Black could inject into the big screen. Black never forgot where he came from, however. He carried the spirit of Tenacious D with him wherever he went. And in 2006, Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny was released. Yeah! A tongue-in-cheek retelling of how the pair, cleverly named JB and KG, formed the band.
It's a magical guitar pick. You know what I mean?
That helps you rock harder.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's about the beginning of our band Tenacious D, how we formed, and it's our quest to become the greatest band on earth. And we realized early on that, holy crap, all these awesome bands have one thing in common. They all, at one time or another, had this guitar pick, so we go on a quest to find it.
The film did not perform very well upon release, but it later garnered a cult following amongst die-hard fans of the D. Nevertheless, audiences knew his name and grew fond of him, and it wasn't too long before the offers came flooding in. Another big break for Black is his involvement with DreamWorks Animation in the 2008 martial arts comedy Kung Fu Panda.
How did you get up there?
I don't know. I don't know. I was getting a cookie.
And yet you are 10 feet off the ground and have done a perfect split.
No, this is just an accident.
There are no accidents.
No, you have to really get into it. You have to really, do some stuff. I'm a gesticulator, and I'm light on my feet. I get in there, I mix it up.
What do you have to fight? No, to make that point. Everybody is kung fu fighting. Kung fu fighting. It comes fast as lightning. Although the picture is a little bit frightening. Look at the night with your riding. Oh, you are not sure. Why is it so hard to see? Maybe it's just because.
This wasn't his first time working with DreamWorks. He had previously starred alongside Will Smith in 2004's Shark Tale, Unlike Shark Tale, however, which was a critical sour note, Kung Fu Panda really rocked, spawning an entire franchise consisting of sequels, spin-offs, and merchandising galore.
Check out that dude's kicks! Yeah!
In this film, he voiced the lovable protagonist Po, a panda who is unbreakably enthusiastic and utterly obsessed with his dreams despite his fears. Another self-insert for sure.
He almost kicked himself in the head. Do you see that? What's happening over there? Very limber.
To become Poe, you've got to focus on your heroes because at his core, Poe is a huge fan. You know, he's a fan of Kung Fu and his Kung Fu heroes. So I think back to my rock and roll heroes or my comedic actor heroes when I was a kid and I was just wishing with all my heart to be one of them. That's where Poe's at.
Only when I was very young, and it was only in self-defense. I am not a violent person by nature. If I see violence happening on some unsuspecting victim, my tendency is to rescue. That's the only time I'm really gonna bust out the moves, or self-defense. You see that? Don't mess with that.
2008's Tropic Thunder was another big success, not just for Jack Black, but for a whole smorgasbord of iconic talent. It seemed as though something was in the water on the set of Tropic Thunder. These celebrities all made a big name for themselves afterwards. Everyone, that is, except Jack Black. He watched seemingly all of his peers achieve greatness, but he was still stuck in purgatory. To the public, Jack Black was unstoppable, a comic force, a whirlwind, a guaranteed laugh. But success didn't quiet the inner voice. If anything, it made it louder. He worried people didn't take him seriously, that no one saw the depth behind the eyebrows and the wacky voices. He'd walk onto late-night sets or onto red carpets knowing exactly what was expected. Act wild, make a joke, dance like a maniac. And he'd do it, every time. But inside, he wondered if they liked him or just the version of him they'd packaged. Even in his peak era, Jack remained deeply self-aware. He knew how Hollywood worked. He'd waited long enough to understand that attention came with expectations and a price. The 2000s were his rocket ride. He hit the stratosphere. But the higher he got, the more he wondered if he was drifting into a role he didn't fully want to play.
What?
Because fame had found Jack Black. But did it find him, or the clown Hollywood made him into?
I like unsweetened iced tea in large amounts. If there's ever a time when I don't have an iced tea in my fridge, heads will roll. Someone will go down.
It was the late 2000s. The 2010s loomed on the horizon. Jack Black had become a beloved name, sure, but there were a fair few who took him for granted as just that guy who played the same role in everything. This simultaneous sense of adoration and apathy would have certainly given Black tremendous imposter syndrome. But surely this wasn't fair. He was doing his best, the thing that made him the most money. He was the loud one, the guy with the wild eyes, the sudden yells, the over-the-top energy, and crazy dances.
No.
He could sing, sure, but mostly he made you laugh. He was a walking cartoon, a dancing monkey, a clown. And that label stuck. After the success of School of Rock and Kung Fu Panda, Jack was everywhere, but the roles started to blur together. He was cast as the same character again and again. The lovable screw-up, the man-child, the weird neighbor with too much enthusiasm and not enough boundaries. It became grating. 2009's Year One was a perfect example of this.
This one's mine. Tonight we feast.
It had no sauce, just a generic, goofy affair with Jack Black and Michael Cera. Some critics bashed the film, saying that the talent in front of the camera and behind it were never on the same page. Some would call that poor direction. Others might say it's a drawback to Black's unpredictable persona.
I don't have a stick. I'll mind it.
Okay. Oh, I'm in love.
Then came Gulliver's Travels.
Unlucky.
This 2010s film, based on the Jonathan Swift novel, was a commercial and critical bomb. People shunned Black's performance for being a self-deprecating and predictable role, just doing the same old silly routine people expected of him, with nothing but a predictable script and lazy jokes to back him up. Some even saw it as a cash grab, a thoughtless betrayal of his own dignity. This was a huge moment of introspection for Black. What was he doing with his career?
I'd like to give you the scoop, but I can't.
Audiences chuckled, sure, but nothing really stood out, and this shtick was quickly getting old. For Jack, something just felt off. Since the beginning, he had his outlandish personality, but what he truly wanted more than anything was for people to take him seriously and see the true range he possessed. But no one really saw it, or if they did, they didn't care. He'd walk into auditions or meetings and feel the energy shift. They wanted Jack Black the brand, not Jack Black, the man with the heart full of dreams. The guy who kicks imaginary doors and shouts his own name, not the artist who wanted to spread his creative wings. Behind the scenes, Jack started questioning himself. Was he a serious actor pretending to be silly, or a silly guy pretending to be serious? But there was something about the traditional Hollywood grind that was starting to feel tired. He'd played the same game for decades. Studios wanted peak Jack. Loud, funny, predictable. There's a weight to being the funny one, a pressure to perform, even when you don't feel like it. Even when your life off camera is falling apart, Jack Black began to feel like a sideshow in his own career. A guy brought in for spice, but never for substance. He joked about it in interviews, laughed it off on late-night TV, but sometimes the laughs were a little too forced and a little too disingenuous.
What about, oh.
He wasn't ungrateful. He loved making people laugh. But comedy for Jack had evidently been a defense mechanism all along. It's hard to tell whether this wild animal is the true persona of Black or a mask to hide behind. But looking back at his past, who can really blame him? Before the world saw Jack Black as a larger-than-life personality, he was just a kid trying to survive the storm inside his own mind. Born Thomas Jacob Black in 1969, he grew up in a house full of brains. Both of his parents were satellite engineers, high-level thinkers who helped with NASA's Hubble Space Telescope. Intellect was a currency of the home. But Jack Black was wired differently. He wasn't a math prodigy. He was loud, emotional, dramatic. A lightning bolt in a room full of carefully calculated formulas. His parents divorced when he was 10. On paper, it was amicable. They shared custody and tried to keep things stable. But for Jack, it was devastating. It cracked his foundation. He was already a sensitive kid, but the split made him feel unmoored, like nothing was permanent, like love could vanish overnight. He later said it was the beginning of a spiral. By age 13 or 14, Jack was hanging out with the wrong people. Kids who didn't just break the rules, they torched the rule book.
There was a time when there was a bully. I was being bullied at school, and this kid really wanted to fight me, and I wanted no part of it. But he pushed me, and then he said, after school, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. And then there I was, and there he was, and he came at me, and then all of a sudden, all these moves kicked in, and I found myself on his back. I'm not proud of this. Knocking him on his skull with, and then I stopped, and I was the clear victor. But it was a mixed feelings, you know. There's a sense of pride, but also a sense of shame for resorting to violence.
He started experimenting with drugs. Cocaine, in particular, had its hooks in him early. He's talked about it with raw honesty, how he'd do lines in secret, consumed by self-hatred, feeling lost and afraid. And how he knew, even then, that it wasn't recreational, it was self-destruction. There's a moment Jack once described, laying awake in bed as a teen, paranoid, convinced someone was going to kill him. No evidence, just that gnawing, irrational fear. It sounds like a drug-fueled panic attack, but it also sounds like anxiety. Something he struggled with his whole life. A black void of fear. It's hard to reconcile that kind of darkness with the man people see on screen. But it was always there. Behind the grin, behind the yelling, behind the showmanship. That fear never fully left him. He just got better at disguising it. Then came the tragedy that would leave a scar on him forever. The death of his older half-brother, Howard. Brilliant, talented, charismatic. He helped develop some of the earliest video games and was the cool, older sibling Jack admired from a distance. But Howard was diagnosed with HIV in the 1980s, when misinformation and fear were rampant. Jack was just 20 years old. Losing Howard rocked him. It was a brutal, personal loss during a time when he was already navigating addiction, confusion, and rejection. The grief was like another weight on top of everything else he was carrying. A reminder that life was short, that people you love can just disappear. And if that weren't enough, there were the constant rejections from Hollywood. Casting directors didn't know what to do with Jack Black. He didn't fit the leading man mold. He wasn't the handsome heartthrob. He wasn't the clean-cut comedian. He was weird, wild, intense. Too intense. There was a period where he'd show up to auditions, do his bit, walk out, and just know he wasn't what they were looking for. And each of those rejections chipped away at his confidence. He was desperate to prove himself, not just to the industry, but to the voice in his head that told him he was a failure, a screw-up, a joke. So he worked harder. He leaned into his persona. The loud guy, the funny guy, the freak. If he couldn't be what they wanted, he'd be unforgettable. But even as his career began to rise, part of him still believed he was faking it, that he didn't deserve it. Imposter syndrome, addiction recovery, grief. It was all tangled together. He once said that performing was a way to silence the doubt. That on stage or on the set, he could outrun the noise. But it always came back when the lights went out. The irony is, Jack Black became famous for being fearless. But the truth is, he's always been afraid. Afraid of not being good enough. Afraid of being forgotten. Afraid of the pain catching up to him. But he didn't let it define him. He took all that hurt, all the childhood wounds, the the teenage missteps, the devastating losses, and turned it into something loud, strange, joyful, and unforgettable. Because for Jack, comedy wasn't just a craft, it was survival. And nowadays, he hasn't just survived, he's thrived.
I do feel very strong. I feel very fresh.
By the late 2010s, Jack Black had done it all. Critically acclaimed comedies, blockbuster franchises, animated icons, viral talk show moments.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, mother. Out. 1, 2, 3.
But now, in his late 40s, with a family, decades of experience, and nothing left to prove, he decided to take a sharp left turn. He started a YouTube channel. And not just any channel.
Hey, what's up? It's me, Jack Black. This is my new YouTube channel, Jablinski. It's gonna be bigger than Ninja. It's gonna be bigger than PewDiePie. So what's Jablin, Shables? It's PewDiePie!
Jablinski Games was announced with zero context and a completely deadpan delivery. And people clicked immediately. Millions watched that first awkward video, and the ones that followed. Vlogs with his kids, behind-the-scenes clips of random adventures, travel misfires, candid moments. His son Sammy edited most of them, layering in chaotic jump cuts, sound effects, and fourth-wall breaking goofs that felt more Gen Z than Gen X. It was messy, but it was real. And suddenly, Jack Black was no longer a relic of the 2000s. He was cool again. His YouTube channel, though now less active, left a mark. It showed a version of Jack Black that fans hadn't fully seen before. Jack the father, Jack the gamer, Jack the goofball, off camera. But without the gatekeepers, without the PR machine or the box office pressure, there was a new kind of honesty to it. A looseness. A joy. He wasn't being sold to us. He was just showing up. Flawed, chaotic, open.
Power of music, power of art, helping people in need. That's what it's all about. And let's face it, the power of Nirvana. Very exciting night. Let's do this. Ooh.
There was something deeply human about it, especially for younger fans who had grown up seeing celebrity culture filtered through Instagram perfection and scripted authenticity. Jack Black was different. He sweat, he rambled, he said the wrong thing, then laughed about it. He would say bizarre things on TikTok and participate in trends most celebrities would try and avoid. At the same time, his mainstream career found a new wave. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, and its sequel weren't just box office hits. They proved Jack still had range. Playing a teenage girl trapped in the body of a middle-aged man shouldn't have worked as well as it did. But Jack made it sing.
Okay, good boy. We're gonna take this nice and slow and nobody's gonna get hurt. Now what?
Blast off.
And aim. Don't forget to aim.
What is with you and aiming? What happened to you?
Can we not talk about this in mixed company?
Wow. Wow. Wow! Oh, this is so much easier!
It's cool, right?
Yeah, because you have like a handle. The fact that I'm not Instagramming this right now is insane.
His comedic instincts hadn't dulled. They'd sharpened.
I was nervous the first time on the first Jumanji because, we were just getting to know each other and breaking the ice and hoping, that we were going to mix well our chemistry. But this time it was just like putting on a comfortable pair of shoes. We knew that we had magic.
And in a roundabout sort of way, it showed a certain range for the actor.
It was just exciting to have the opportunity.
when you've got a name like Jumanji that has that sort of power and that energy behind it, everybody knows what kind of movie you're talking about when you say, hey, there's a new Jumanji. It's exciting to be able to kind of jump on board that train and make something new out of it. I was just really excited to be part of it.
Then came the Super Mario Brothers movie. His casting as Bowser raised eyebrows at first, but when the film dropped, Jack stole the show. Again.
I'm very excited. You know, it's got a huge audience, the video game. And as we know, video games have become just as big, if not bigger, than movies. So it's cool when the two worlds collide.
His performance as the King of the Koopas was dream casting in a movie lineup notorious for its out-of-the-box celebrity casting. But the real icing on the cake was his love ballad performed on piano, Peaches.
Peaches, 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 peaches. Ah, oh, yeah. Oh, peaches, peaches.
It trended on TikTok. It hit the charts. It got stuck in everyone's heads. And it reminded the world that Jack Black is a musician at heart. Someone who can make the ridiculous feel heartfelt. And then in 2025 came the infamous A Minecraft Movie, wherein he played Steve, a grown man jaded with the world who finds himself in a world where he can be whatever he wants to be. I think you get the idea.
La 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 la, chicken. Steve's like a chicken, yes, tasty as hell. Ooh, never see tonight, you're ringing the bell. Crispy and juicy, now you're having a snack. Ooh, super spicy, it's a lava attack.
This movie, though getting a mixed reception from critics and moviegoers alike, was full to the brim with memes.
Chicken jockey!
And further emphasized Black's position as a modern-day icon.
You know, it's not really the video games as much as it is the directors and the writers that have interesting things to say and something that sounds like fun. I love Jared, you know. We worked together on Nacho Libre, so that was more interesting to me than the subject matter. But it turns out that I was familiar with Minecraft, and my kids loved Minecraft, so that was a bonus.
He was doing press junkets again. He was everywhere. But it wasn't like the early 2000s, where the exposure came with a sense of pressure, of climbing. This time, it felt like he was just enjoying the ride.
Is there anything I want to check off my bucket list? Well, I wanted to go skydiving, but I took that off my bucket list because now I'm too scared. I can't. I've never been to Iceland. That's on my bucket list. I've never been to Wales. I've never been to Chile. Never been to Kenya. There's some places I want to go.
Jack Black has become something few celebrities manage to become in the age of algorithms. Genuinely beloved. Not for pretending to be someone else, but for showing up exactly as he is. And maybe after a lifetime of noise, some of it joyful, some of it painful, Jack Black has found a space where the volume finally feels right. And perhaps most so to himself.
I've done it all. I've done everything I want. I just love working with creative people. That's always forever an infinity bucket list. Anyone that I find exciting to work with is someone I, you know.
I'm so nervous because I am not used to having like praise heaped upon me by people I love and respect so much. It's very embarrassing for me. And in some ways, this is torture, but it's also hugely humbling, and I can't believe everyone came. And so, you know, while I look around and all you people, I thought no one was going to come to my stupid thing, and everyone came. Look at all you beautiful people. Thank you for the love. And I've wanted one of these things for so long, since I was a kid. I thought, oh man, if you get one of those stars on the sidewalk, that means you've made it. And I feel like I finally grasped that sweet brass ring. And then the question is, where do we go now? In the immortal words of Axl Rose. Where do we go now?
The road Jack Black has been on over the years is a rocky one, and I'm not just talking about the music he's produced. This has been the story of a man who questions his every move, doubts every decision he makes, yet gets on with it despite it all. And the funny part is, that's the most normal thing about Jack Black. He is filled with insecurity, but also fun, just like you and me, just like everyone else. And to finally be embraced and adored for the goofball that he is, that is the real privilege of all this. Not everyone can say the same thing about themselves. In his own way, he's become a role model of perseverance and of becoming true to yourself no matter what others say. And maybe, just maybe, the world can take a page out of Jack Black's book and never be afraid to be wild. Rock on!
I've never been so proud to be so slimy. I've had the best, luckiest journey possible. I didn't give a shout out to Kung Fu Panda. All my peeps over there, Jeffrey Katzenberg, Sharon Jackson, my manager, who's been with me the whole way through. You know, yeah, of course, I could go on and on. But much love. Peace and love.